Hey guys, my name is Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. Tonight we're taking a look at the Air65 Champion that BetaFPV very kindly sent me over. The flying you were just watching is from the Walksnail Cinematic 65mm rig. I've had another Walksnail Light VTX die on me. This is now the third one. In fairness, I did crash this into. It had been raining during the day, and it had not been raining for a couple of hours. And I did crash this into wet leaves. And I put it on a fan overnight, which has always worked when stuff has gotten wet. But yeah, I went to plug this in today, and there's nothing, and there is voltage coming up to it. So, yeah, Walksnail Light number 3 needs to go in for repair. In case you didn't know, Walksnail does have. I need to put this over here because I need to take it apart again. Walksnail does have a repair service. From what I've heard, you basically end up paying either half as much as what the thing is worth that they're repairing, or if they can't repair it, they give you a discount on a new one. So yeah, but the fact that they do that at all is pretty awesome, because I don't really know anybody else in the FPV world that I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention. Maybe everybody does it. But it's nice that they do that. In the chat, Douglas6 was first. Metal Dirtskin, Curtis Hayes, Feigning Goat, Cheetonian, Smoking Dog, Cujo, Titan, Islander FPV, Frank Nicholas, Spaceman Spiff, Witch Cat, Maj, Sebi D, LOL the Kittison, CMYK FPV, Go Kart Mozart. Go Kart, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been, man? Uriel, Rybread, Scotty Scott. What's up, everybody? If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all I got to do is type CiottiFPV like Rybread did. He says, I had them even just send me a new one for free when mine was unrepairable. Really? They sent you an entire new one for nothing. That's awesome. Wow. Damn. Okay. Yeah. Teddy, what are you doing, buddy? Brandon's Baked Beans is here as well. He participated in the killing of a Walksnail Light VTX by giving it 4x. Didn't realize the HD plug on the AIO wasn't 10 volt. My buddy's getting a new one sent to him. Come here. Come here. He knows. He knows I'm going to pick his little ass up. Come here! You're all I've got now, buddy. You're the only person in this house, other than me, that's not going to get completely brutalized for the next 4 years. And treated completely unfairly, and just generally treated awful. It's just me and you, dude. Oh, everybody else's lives are going to get destroyed because people are dumb. Hey, look at this. Harbles. I will call him Ken Harbles. That's what he is in my head. And Mr. Brim, Garrett Brim, made something super cool and sent it to me. I haven't had a chance to like put it together yet, but this is some sort of an infinity gate. I gotta put it together to kind of figure it out, but like, they wrote like all the instructions on how to do it. Just like so cool. And then this is the thing. He says you have to like twist it. I'm not totally sure. I gotta cut these. Yeah, I'll figure it out. But yeah, there's all kinds of instructions and whatnot. We have the coolest people in FPV doing some of the coolest stuff ever. You guys might not even be able to hear me right now. Hold on. Let me just move this a little bit. I left it there for the live stream. Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys were able to hear me just now. I was saying that we have the coolest people in FPV. And yeah, what a cool little community we've got. CMYK says twist it buffet, yeah. So yeah, tonight's all about the Air65 Champion. Let's just dive right on into it. Over on there, so there's a link in the description if you want to get yourself one. It's my BetaFPV affiliate link. You come in here and then just it'll be, here you go, Air65, and then there's the champion edition. I don't know if it's actually sold out or if it just hasn't come in yet. But yeah, this is where it is. It's on their regular page. There's a big old blurb right here about it. Basically, it's the Air65, but with the newer AIO, the 5-in-1 AIO, and then slightly different motors. 0702, 30,000 kV motors with the ball bearings. I think they had those. Oh look, they fixed my. They fixed the spelling of my name. That's pretty cool. Awesome. I could have sworn that they previously had a 702 ball bearing 30,000 kV motor, but whatever, doesn't really matter. That's what it's got. It's, you know, it's the BetaFPV motors. I don't know if the BetaFPV motors are under-spec'd or the Happy Model motors are over-spec'd. Doesn't really matter. This BetaFPV 30,000 kV motor is going to give you pretty much the same power as the Happy Model 32,000 kV motors. Just so that you have sort of an analog there. Also, it's on the black frame, black canopy. It looks really, really cool, as you probably saw in the thumbnail. 17.5 grams, so it's a little bit heavier than the regular Air65. They, well, I'll show you what's in the box. In the box, they give you a set of peak screws. So if you're brave enough, you can use these to bring the weight of this down to what a regular Air65 is. At 17.5 grams, it's going to fly awesome though. So for me personally, I've had these peak screws break, and when they break, they get jammed inside the motor stator, and it just sucks to get them out of there. Forget doing it if you're out somewhere flying. Like, you're going to have to come home and put the nerd goggles on and get down and dirty with it to get them out of there. And so for me, it's just not really worth it. Especially because I use now pretty exclusively the Newbie Drone Cockroach V3 and Cockroach Light AF frames, and they come with super short M1.4 by, I believe it's 2 screws that are so short that they're very light, and it kind of, I mean, like, yes, you could save a little bit more weight by getting a really short peak screw or cutting peak screws down, but it's like almost kind of not worth it because they're so short. On all the other frames, the motor screws are M1.4 by 4, and it's by 3, M1.4 by 3, I think it is, and there is a significant difference between those and the peak screws. I still wouldn't do it because it was just such a pain to try to extract those broken ones. But to each his or her own. If you're going to do the peak screw thing, my recommendation is going to be to leave the metal screw on the outside and then do the 2 peak screws on the inside. The outside screw is going to take the majority of the abuse. So yeah, leaving that outer one metal is a really good idea in my opinion. And then swap the other ones out and pray. It comes with a second set of my favorite tri-blades, which are the Gemfan 1219S's. Should make really, really, really good power on these motors. We'll see in a little bit. Comes with an extra little canopy, instruction manual, custom cut foam, all that good stuff. Oh, and it comes with their little USB to JST adapter because they're no longer putting USB ports. USB ports are kind of heavy and they're tall, and so they're not putting them on their AIOs anymore. As much as I don't like having like a specific little thing that you have to use, I also don't like having a giant USB port hanging off the bottom of the AIO. So I kind of dig this. I'm pretty okay with them using a JST plug here, and then yeah, you've just got this little adapter. I wouldn't be surprised if that saves like, I wouldn't be surprised if that saves like 0.3, maybe even 0.4 of a gram. And like, you know, whatever. Don't lose the little dongle thing. I mean, you can buy the extra little dongle things. I kind of wish they would give two. It would be a total slam dunk if they would just give a second one of the, give you 2 of the little dongly things. And then you put one in your flight bag, and then you put one at your desk. One of them will inevitably disappear at some point, but that's okay because you have the other one. They also sent me an extra one of the Air65 frames, which is super cool. The BetaFPV motors are a little bit taller than the Happy model motors, and they work and they work great with the Air65 frame. The Happy model motors are a perfect match for the Newbie Drone Cockroach frames, the V3 and the Light AF. The VCI, the BetaFPV, and I believe the RC and Power motors as well. Don't quote me on that, but definitely the VCI and the BetaFPV motors, they're a little bit taller, and the ducts on the Air65 frame and all the other frames, really, the old school Meteor 65, the Weebleed Crown frame, even the Mobula 6 2024 frame, unfortunately, they all have the ducts sitting up higher, and when you run Happy model motors on those, the propellers swing below the duct, which you don't want. These BetaFPV motors paired with this Air65 frame is a really nice little setup, because as you can see, the tip of the propeller here rides almost perfectly in the middle of the duct, and that's what you want. Basically, you want that so that when you hit stuff, the duct pushes into the propeller. If the motor is too short or the duct is too high, the tip of the propeller will be sitting down a little bit farther, and when you hit stuff, the duct will go up over the propeller, and then the propeller will slam into that little support there, and that will stall the motor out every single time. So every single time you bump into something, that motor stalls out and you fall out of the air. When you've been flying rigs, when you've been flying builds like that for a long time, and then you fix it, it's a miracle. Like you start bumping into stuff and you just bounce off, and the first couple times it happens, you're like, whoa, like how? Like it really doesn't make sense because that hasn't happened for you in God knows how long. And then after it happens a couple more times, you realize what's going on. And it's nice. It's like really, really nice. So if you hit something hard, it's not really going to help. So like the mirror flips, for example, when I go up to the mirror and just like bump it to try to kind of dock on it, that's a perfect example with a frame with a motor frame mismatch. When if I would bump it even softly, it would stall the front motors out and fall out of the air. Whereas nowadays I can sit there and bump against the mirror, and I can even like push it up against the mirror and like rotate it around like you've seen me do a couple times recently, and it's completely fine. So yeah, that's an example of why that's sort of important. Also, it's a lot easier on the propellers. Not having the propellers slamming into those vertical supports for the on the frame is a good thing. The props don't get all chewed up all the time anymore. So yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for sure. Again, it does come with the BetaFPV 0702 30,000 kV motors, GemFan 1219S props. It's the new BetaFPV G-string style canopy, as I like to call it. ELRS antenna is just a simple little piece of wire here that's wrapped around. BT 2.0, the good ones too, the little 180-degree ones that I really dig. And the motors are direct soldered, which I don't love, but it does save weight. You know, Champion refers to them building this for hardcore racers. And so kind of makes sense to have those direct soldered motors. All those guys are pretty much doing that nowadays. What was I just going to say? Oh, in terms of the main thing that I'm going to warn you guys, which is a warning that pretty much everybody has given that's reviewed any of these new ultra lightweight tiny whoops, is to not unplug the antenna. The Mobula 6 2024 and the Air65s are plagued by UFL ports for the video antennas that are very fragile. And a ton of people, when reviewing these things, have either had the antenna come unplugged or they have unplugged the antenna and it has ripped the UFL port off with it. I have tried to remove these from just one side. I've tried to sneak tweezers under there and pop it up so it comes off and it pulls off on both sides. It doesn't seem to matter. In the process of making these new AIOs ultra lightweight, apparently the top layer of the PCB is a lot more fragile, I guess. I don't really know why it's happening, but it's yeah, it's kind of crazy. It comes with a whip antenna. If you want an ultra lightweight antenna, all you've got to do is push this out of the canopy, and then you're going to remove the shrink wrap that's around this. You could just sit there with your pliers and carefully just cut your side cutters and just cut through it. Pull this off, and then you just take your soldering iron and you put it on the very tip of the big metal thing, and then you can pull that metal thing off. And then you've basically got the same exact antenna that weighs 0.2 of a gram that all of the racers are running. So you shouldn't really need to unplug this antenna. These whip antennas are totally fine. They work great. They're tiny whoops, right? You're not going to be pushing range with them. And so, yeah, my recommendation is also going to be to put a big blob of E6000 on this antenna plug, on the UFL. Run it up over the UFL. If this is the antenna plug, you want the blob of E6000 to go up on top of it, down the side, and then onto the board. You want a nice big chunk of it that is connecting the antenna to the board, so that's the strong thing. The way that the UFLs work is they're kind of like this, and then the plug is kind of like that. And so the snap that you hear is the fact that the antenna plug it's got this kind of thing going on, and then the port on the board has kind of this thing going on. And so it'll stay plugged in there, but anytime that antenna gets pulled, it's trying to rip that UFL off the bottom. If you have E6000 encasing that whole thing, I would just do it on one side. I've never done it on both sides, but that chunk, that blob of E6000 is going to take the strength, and it's just gonna, it's gonna hopefully prevent that UFL from ripping off the board. Once you rip the UFL off the board, it's kind of a nightmare, because the VTX is on there. You now have no way to hook an antenna up to the VTX, and the VTX is going to overheat. Maybe sometimes there's a way to like break a resistor off or a capacitor off, or sometimes there'll be two solder pads next to each other with a solder bridge, and you can remove that solder to turn off the internal VTX, and then you can put an external VTX. But like, what a complete pain in the ass. It's you know, and then you're doubling. You have two VTX. You have the weight of two different VTXs. It's just silly. So yeah, on all of these new school whoops, just think of the UFL antenna port on the AIO as a single-use item. And so if you buy a bind and fly, the manufacturer has already taken up that single use. They have snapped an antenna down. That's it. If you buy just the 5-in-1 by itself, it will not have a antenna connected to it. So you will be able to do your single-use UFL and snap an antenna onto it. Make sure it's a good antenna. I would love to recommend the ORT Micro V, but the problem is going to be that the head of the Micro V antenna is kind of big, and it's not going to fit through the hole in many, if any, of these canopies. And so that's going to make it a real pain in the ass for you if you break the canopy, or if you want to change the canopy, right? So keep that in mind. The whip antennas are completely fine. Most canopies are set up to house the whip antenna, so you'll be able to take it on and off. So on these new school AIOs, you know, maybe just run whip antennas forever. Kind of depends on the canopy you're running, but just some food for thought there. Cool. This has to go here. Let me get a little bit caught up on chat. Rybread says, I'm excited for the stream. I ordered a Champion after my local group was talking about it. Got one just before they sold out. Very cool. Are they like fully sold out? That's insane. It does say that they were only making 1,000 of them. I find it pretty incredible that they sold 1,000 of them already. But yeah, I guess the Tiny Whoop world is bigger than I thought. Titan says, how are you feeling today? Just awful. Just fucking awful. Rybread says, I heard they were only making 1,000. I checked before I ordered, and it let me put 470 in the cart, and then it sold out the next day. Wow, that's insane. That certainly sounds like they did sell 1,000 of them. Jesus. Madge says, why are these binded flies coming with those flimsy canopies? Should we start sticking sponges underneath them? I think everybody's doing the G-string canopies because they're lightweight, and because they're somewhat durable. This particular one, the BetaFPV canopy, has the camera so high up that it doesn't seem like you really need to put the foam or styrofoam underneath. The Mobula 6 2024 canopy is not like this. The camera is very low, and so on that one I would definitely recommend putting a piece of high density foam in between the camera and the AIO. But yeah, this air canopy, and like even it's also like a stiffer plastic. Even when I push down on it, there's tons of space. I can't imagine that you would be able to crash this hard enough to get that camera to hit the AIO. So yeah, on the Air65 G-string canopy, I think you're totally fine. But on like all of the other ones, yeah, a piece of foam between the camera and the AIO is a really, really, really good idea. Metal Dirtson says, someone broke a USB off their Whoop when flying at my house last week, so maybe the dongles can at least help with that. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? The USB is hanging down all low, and the battery is really close to it. And so, yeah, the JST setup is really, really slick. I can't believe it took this long for anybody to figure it out. But hey... Metal Dirtson rightly says strain relief is what they call that. It's a different sort of strain relief. Usually strain relief we think of like a zip tie to a standoff on a wire, an antenna wire or battery wire. But yeah, I mean, this is still strain. The word strain relief mean that you're relieving strain. And so, yeah, the E6000 is kind of doing that. I guess you could also like put the E6000 up here on the wire. It doesn't. I don't think it really matters. But yeah, be careful with that. All these new. Look, for me, it's the 2G4 till I die. I think the Happy Model 2G4 AIO is just so incredibly durable. It's not that much heavier. It's got motor plugs. It's even got a camera plug. So for me, it's the 2G4. I love that there are some new AIOs that are lighter weight, but they're not that much lighter weight, and like the lack of reliability that we've seen is very annoying. And so yeah, that's kind of tough. For racers that are competing, it's probably worth it for the weight savings. But yeah, I'm and this is not a dig on BetaFPV, man. Happy Model is screwing up just as bad, if not worse. This is this is what happens when you go lightweight. Is something's got to give, right? And it's durability. And so if you're trying to build a basher, 2G4 all day. If you're trying to win races, the regular Air65, if you have the right ELRS module, the Newbie Drone Hummingbird V 3.1. Right, so there you go. I think that's all of the specs on this guy. I think we can get it into Betaflight, get a binding phrase in there, get some switches set, and get it up in the air. Hey, CiottiFPV.com is the spot where you can support me on this wild adventure that is doing FPV as a full-time job / career / whatever. Patreon definitely helps me out the most, and a bunch of you have joined recently. Thank you so much. It is the only way that I can do this full-time. Who do we have? I just saw somebody earlier today. Where was it? There it is. Cowa Rider 72, welcome to the Gangly Gang, man. Thank you so much for the support. There's a stamps.com receipt. Bunch of stuff is shipping out today, by the way. Bunch of Etsy orders. The giveaway wins. Sorry for the delay there. The last week has been worse than hell. Rashad, welcome to the Gangly Gang, man. Thank you so much for joining up. Looks like Rashad is level 1 drone on YouTube. I will get back to your message hopefully tonight. And I think there might have been one more. Yeah, there was. John Smith. Is that your real name? Oh, God, there's a couple more. John Smith, if that's your real name, welcome to the Gangly Gang, brother. Thank you for the support. Oh, look at all these. Oh, I got to delete all these emails now, too. There we go. Okay. Sean, I'm I'm just going to call you Sean M instead of massacring your last name. As well as Mario Franchi. Welcome to the Gangly Gang, guys. Thank you so much. Very, very cool of you to join up. Enjoy the benefits over there on Patreon. Enjoy the extra text channels that you have access to on the Discord. Enjoy the oh god, there's a whole bunch here. Enjoy the YouTube playlist with all kinds of unreleased stuff, sketchy flying, Patreon only live streams, all kinds of good stuff over there. Pig Fats, welcome to the Gangly Gang. Maybe that is his real name. I mean, his email address does have that in it. Robert Moore and Bad Nerone. Thank you guys. Very, very cool. Welcome to the gang. Stay a while and listen. Who's that a quote from? Anybody know? What is happening with this? Mark is unread. There we go. All right, cool. I'm caught up there. I added something else to... I added the... I put the point... Over on Etsy, there's all kinds of new stuff. I put the .99 millimeter drill bits back in stock. They went out of stock. And I was very lazy and I just used the same picture. But you can see here, I added the 1.5 millimeter drill bits to the Etsy store as well. I guess that's all I added today. I got a couple more things to add here, but there's all kinds of fun stuff over here. Get yourself a couple things. You're worth it, my friends, and help me keep doing this full time. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. Take advantage of over 8 years of knowledge in FPV. Learn everything that you've been wanting to learn in a very short amount of time. What's your time worth, right? If you got more money than time, then I'm your guy. If you got more time than money, I'm still your guy because I do these live streams. I put all the information that I possibly can into these live streams. But if you want to get all of your questions answered right away, I would love to book a half an hour or an hour-long session with you. We can also work on flight instruction stuff. We jump into the simulator together. You can spectate me. I can spectate you. I give you live feedback and get you dialed in. I can help you learn how to tune your rigs, learn how to build with the right parts, spec out a very specific build that will work perfect for you, right? That's the only real reason to custom build, is if you're going to cherry pick the exact right parts. If you're just going to randomly pick a bunch of parts, then just buy a bind and fly. If you're going to do a custom build, it makes sense to get the perfect motors, the perfect frame, the perfect propellers, the perfect power system, voltage-wise, right? And I know a lot of that stuff. I know a lot of the ESCs that don't catch on fire. You know, as soon as you buy the wrong thing, you're assed out for between like 50 and $100. You could have sent that my way, and I could have told you, hey, don't buy that HDLRC thing. It's going to catch on fire for sure. So yeah, I would love to help you do a perfect build for you, because it does make a difference. Teespring has some really fun shirts and other random apparel. PayPal if you want to support me directly, but you don't want to do a super chat because you know that YouTube will take 30%. And then I've got a ton of affiliate links at this point. When you're ordering anything from a website, someone on YouTube has an affiliate link for that website. Hunt it down real quick, click it, and then check out. Easy button is just to replace all your bookmarks with your favorite content creators' affiliate links. If you don't use bookmarks, if like when you go to Amazon, you just type AMA and it guesses where you want to go, you can remove these suggestions, and then you click your favorite creators' affiliate link a few times in a row, and that tells your browser, yo, when I type AMA for Amazon, I actually want to go to this wacky link. And then you don't even have to think about it. Every single time you go to Amazon, that creator's info gets dropped into your shopping cart, and away you go. You don't even have to think about it. I have affiliate links for Amazon, GetFPV, Pyro Drone, Race Day Quads, Newbie Drone, We Believe, BetaFPV, FPV Cycle, Oh My God, Brain 3D, HDZero, Flywoo, Emacs, Banggood, Camera Butter, AliExpress. There you go. That's how you support me, friends. If you support me, I'll support you. That's a dumb thing to say. Although I guess it's true. Madge says, good to know about the height of the camera on the air canopy. Madge is short for major, by the way. Ah, very cool. Oh, right. There's a dot there. Got it. Thank you, Eric. Eric says, Eric remembered. Eric says locale check. At the beginning of every stream, type where you are, your city and state. And maybe there's somebody else in the chat that is near you, and you guys can go fly together. Thanks for remembering, brother. Curtis Hayes says, are you going to do the antenna mod to lose a gram? It's not a full gram. I think it's 0.4 of a gram. Yeah, I think it's 0.4 of a gram that you lose when you take the ground plane off. But then you lose some more weight when you take the shrimp wrap off too. Let's weigh this thing. They say 17.47 grams. Let's see if they're lying. I'm sure they're not lying. It's just everybody's scales are different. One of the things that you get as a patron is you get the opportunity to rent a set of a ton of M3 stick ends so that you can try a whole bunch of different stick ends to see which ones you actually like, rather than just looking at a picture of them on the internet and being like, ooh, those will definitely feel great on my fingers. And then one of the other things that nobody's actually rented out for me yet is a set of calibrated weights. If you want to calibrate your scale and or just see how far off it is, yeah, I've got a set of 1 gram, 5 gram, 10 gram calibrated weights that you put on your scale, see what it reads, and away you go. 17.68 grams. So pretty close. 17.68. So if I remove the ground plane from this antenna, that'll bring it down to basically like 17.1, 17.2 grams. I'm tempted to like do it on the stream tonight. It is 10:44 already. Let's get this thing in the beta. Speaking of, let's get this into Betaflight and start rocking. We'll see. If I have time, maybe I'll do it tonight and I'll try to show you guys the process. It's gonna be hard because it's tough to get the it's tough to cut the shrink wrap off. Like I gotta kind of hold it in my hands, and then it's gonna be really tough to get a camera pointed at it. But we'll see. Let's get it up in the air though, and actually fly the thing. That's job number one. Curtis Hayes also says remove the metal bell and shrimp wrap. In reference to the antenna mod that he just mentioned. Yeah, organic shrimp. It's important. Only get shrimp wrap made from organic shrimp. That's very important. Just kidding. Nothing's important anymore. It's all gonna burn to the ground. It's all over. Have fun now while it lasts, because don't have much time left. What do I need to do? Launch Betaflight? That's the thing. While I'm waiting for Betaflight to launch, because for some reason it takes ages to launch lately, I'm gonna get it bound. In theory, I can just plug and unplug a battery. Hey, we're gonna be flying 300 mAh lava batteries tonight. In theory, I can plug and unplug it 3 times to put it into bind mode. Let's see if that's true. My module is on 3.5.1. I'm also assuming that this is on ELRS-3. I can't imagine it's not. Northern Tier says, how do you know when it is really shrimp wrap when you're ordering? Insert me saying something racist about China here. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go into the menu here. What does it say? Armed. Oh, wow. That's a cool little safety feature. It said armed because my arm switch was up. I didn't realize that. Binding. Hey, look at that. It bound. Cool. So you can bind it by plugging and there it is. You can bind it by plugging and unplugging 3 times, which is great. anything that you can't do that on this point, at this point, why? Why would you make a thing that manufacturers, please speak with like one person that flies FPV before you put a product out. Just one. And they'll be like, oh, by the way, make sure you set it up so that you can just plug and unplug 3 times, because it's impossibly simple and it's super handy and there's no reason not to. Dave S says 3 plugs in a row is connector abuse. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, the bind phrase is pretty slick. But like, God forbid it comes unbound in the field or something like that, the binding phrase ain't gonna help you. Or if it's a rig that doesn't use binding phrases like this one. So there you go. I don't usually do this first, but why is roll coming in so low? Wait a second, what? Oh, roll is wrong. Hold on. I save this. Okay. Yeah, there it goes. What's coming in so low? The throttle. The throttle's not hitting 100%. That's okay. 1994. I should fix that, but I won't. Okay, yeah, we're good. I don't usually do this first, like I said, but whatever. We're in the screen. Stick high threshold. Basically, put both of your sticks in the top right corner, and then look at these numbers. You're looking for the lowest number. In my case, the lowest number is 1994. So I'm going to put my stick high threshold slightly below that, and I chose 1990. Stick low threshold, it's the opposite. Put the sticks in the bottom left corner. Look for whatever the highest number is. In my case, the highest number is on roll, which is like 998. So I'm going to put my stick low threshold slightly above that. I could do 1,000. I'm just going to do 1010 though, just to be sure. RC deadband, put that at like 3 or 4. Yaw deadband, put that at the same amount. Click save. Get your channel map set properly. You already know how to do that. If it bound, then the UART or SPI is set properly, and the serial receiver provider, if it's on a UART, is also going to be set properly. So there you go. This is on firmware 4.5. That's great. And now you're done in the receiver tab. Normally what I like to do is run these things top to bottom. So now we will do that. Very first tab that it loads onto is setup. What you want to look at is that this thing is sitting flat, and then you want to go roll left, roll right, pitch forward, pitch back, yaw left, yaw right. And you want to make sure that the model here is doing the same thing that the actual quad is. Then you're going to sit it flat on your desk, and you're... Whoa, this thing's getting hot. Jesus. And you're going to click Calibrate Accelerometer, or Accelerate Calibrometer. Then you're going to go to the Ports tab. There's really nothing that you have to do in here, but just take a look. TBS Smart Audio is on UART 2. Serial RX is on UART 3. If there is one of these flipped, that means that it's a serial, not an SPI-based AIO. Then you're going to come down here to configuration, take a look at the PID loop frequency, because that's going to tell you what gyro it has. In this case, it's set to 4K. That means it's got probably an ICM 42688 gyro. It could also be an MPU 6000. But what we know is that it's not a BMI 270 gyro. If it's a BMI 270, these are both going to be set to 3.2 kilohertz. This is all the Tiny Whoops are F4 processors, so the PID loop frequency is pretty much always going to be 4K. F7 processors can run up to 8K, but yeah, for Tiny Whoops, you're going to be on 4K. Accelerometer is turned on, barometer and magnetometer are off. Great, craft name doesn't really matter, but if you want, you can put your name in. D-Shot beacon configuration here on the right. Both of these are flipped on. That's great. That's your ESC beeper in case you lose the thing and need to try to find it. Maximum arming angle is set to 180. That will allow us to arm it all the time. It basically turns this arming failsafe off, which is a good thing for tiny whoops. The FPV camera angle is zeroed out. That's good. You always want that zeroed out. Air mode is permanently enabled. That's cool. OSD is turned on. That's pretty much everything. I guess we changed the craft name, but that's fine. Borkbit says, finally able to Patreon again. Keep it up, man. Thank you, dude. Very, very cool of you. I really appreciate that. What was that? Oh, it restarted. Right. It lost bind and then... It probably thought that it fail-safed. Speaking of power and battery first. Take a look at your minimum cell voltage and your warning cell voltage. I also like to put the capacity in to 300. And then maximum cell voltage. Make sure that this is not 4.3. This is 4.4. That's great. You can even move this up to 4.5. That makes sure that the AIO, if you plug in a battery that's slightly overcharged, this makes sure that the AIO doesn't think it's a dead 2S battery. Leave the rest of this stuff alone in here. For the most part, leave power and battery alone. Fail-safe. It's a tiny whoop, so I have no problem changing the stage 2 timing from 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds. This way, if it goes into fail-safe, it's going to hold the last command that it got for 3 full seconds, and hopefully that will get you past whatever is blocking the signal, and you'll regain control without it falling out of the sky. On anything bigger than a tiny whoop, I really don't suggest changing that. Leave it at 1.5 seconds. Usually, I don't want to say usually, but sometimes it's safer for it to just fall out of the sky when it goes into failsafe. Presets we don't really need to worry about. We're going to run this on the pretty much stock settings, so we'll jump into PID tuning here. It looks like they've got... That's cool. They've got PID profile 1 named 1219S. Do they have another profile for different... Wow. Good for you, BetaFPV. So they've got individual PID profiles for different propellers. What a bunch of goddamn chads. That's really, really nice. That is really, really cool. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen another manufacturer do that. That's really, really good. iTerm Relax has a really high cutoff here. Again, this is a racing build. So this could potentially cause a little bit of bounce back in freestyle-ish flying. I'm going to leave it and we'll see if there's bounce back. I'm going to try to leave this completely alone and just fly it as is. I am going to turn on VBAT sag compensation though, and I am also going to turn on thrust linearization and just turn it down from 20 to 10. These are very subtle. I'm mainly turning on the VBAT sag compensation because it helps with throttle expo. Thrust linearization, it gives it a little bit better, a little bit more PID authority at 0 throttle. I spend a good amount of time at 0 throttle, so yeah. Save that. Everything else looks kind of normal. The tune is fairly... Oh, the tune is weird. They're using they're not using the damping and tracking sliders. They're using the master multiplier to crank the values up. I don't love that, but I mean, it's okay. I love that they have the pitch damping and pitch tracking cranked up quite a bit, actually. That is really, really cool. Wow, they've got the feed forward turned way down. That's interesting. I don't like how low the dynamic damping is, but again, I'm just going to run this thing as it is. I think it's getting a little hot. I'm actually going to turn my transmitter off. Yeah, as soon as I started to blow on that, the beep was it fail-safing because it got too hot. Rate profile... Oh, wow, they have Betaflight rates. That's old school. I mean, whatever. You're going to run your own rates anyway, so that's totally fine. These are my rates. They're very geared towards cinematic flying. Don't use someone else's rates. Take the time to learn, play around with, experiment with the rates, and set your rates perfectly for you. One of the biggest mistakes in FPV is using someone else's rates. I'm going to add a little bit of throttle expo in. Just a little bit, not a lot. It'll just make me feel better on the sticks. You guys won't necessarily be able to notice it. Filtering, is strange. Lot of filtering. Really no reason for 3 gyro RPM filter harmonics. So I'm going to turn that down to 1. That's the only thing I'm going to change, though. We'll see what... Wow, the max frequency is really low here. All right, I'm also going to recommend that you move this dynamic notch filter max frequency up quite a bit. Move it all the way up to 800. Up above 500 hertz, it's very light on the processor to continue to filter. So you're not going to add hardly any latency, but you're going to give it the ability to filter better up at high RPM. That's all we'll dive into in there. I think this thing now needs to be... It's getting a little cranky. It's been plugged in for a little while here. Hold on. Let's get the... let's get a gangly fan on the scene here. Hold on. Jesus, really? Where's that other battery at? Oh, what? Where is it? There it is. Well, it's dead, but I won't be running this for very long, and it's just a little fan, so it'll be okay. All right. I'm going to get this thing on top of the old gangly fan. There we go. Okay. Man, even analog rigs are getting hot when you leave them plugged in now. I think it's ELRS. ELRS seems to just like run hot for some reason. Receiver tab we already looked at. Modes tab, you're going to have your own setup, so don't copy me. For me, it's aux2, switch position all the way up for horizon mode. Beeper is on aux3 in the all the way down switch position. Does it have black box? It does have black box. That's pretty nice. We're going to put that on aux2 in the middle. Now we'll do aux2 all the way down. Flip over after crash. aux3 in the middle. Switch position. And then for funsies, launch control on aux2 in the middle. Save it. Adjustments. I do have a really cool little setup with OSD on a switch, and that's how you do it. Turn it on, aux2, full range, OSD profile selection, aux2. And then you have to set your OSD up in a specific kind of way. I'll show you that. I might as well show you that right now. Wow, they've got a lot of stuff turned on. I'm going to turn on crash recovery, and I'm going to put my analog OSD in. I have a little sticky note on the left side of my screen here with that. I can just dump it right into the CLI. The unknown command is just the words analog OSD that I have in the sticky note. Everything else went in fine. Type save, and now that's saved. Connect again, go back into OSD and just check it. See, so when you put your OSD stuff into the CLI, it doesn't turn off anything. It just turns stuff on. So like the regular full battery voltage, which only has 1 decimal point, is still on. So I'm going to turn that off. There's a cool little trick for you. Instead of using the regular battery voltage, right? Just the regular OSD thing, which only gives you a single decimal point, and it gives you the full battery voltage. You want to use the battery average cell voltage, which is this one down here, and you'll get 2 decimal points. But also, if it's more than a 1S battery, you don't have to try to do the math. If it's a 4S or a 3S or a 6S, you don't have to try to do the math and figure out what the individual cell is. It does that for you. So every single rig that you fly, you just have 3 point whatever, 4 point whatever, and it's just 1,000 times easier. And again, you get that second decimal point, which really does matter. So do that. Use battery average cell voltage rather than the full battery voltage. So we're going to turn that off. Everything else looks pretty good. warnings. Okay, so that little trick with the adjustments tab, OSD profile selection. So I put this on a 3-position switch. My transmitter is turned off, but if this is on a 3-position switch. Position 1 is here. Position 2 is where it's at now in the middle. Position 3 is off to the right. So, because I opened this range all the way up, there are 3 options in here. And those drive to the OSD profile selection. So it's going to be profile 1, profile 2, which is currently on, and then profile 3. So then in the OSD tab, you'll see that you've got 1, 2, 3 OSD profiles. And so now you get to pick. For me, in the farthest forward and middle switch position, I have everything. Absolutely everything that I want is turned on. But then in the third switch position, there's nothing. None of these are turned on until you get to the very bottom with warnings. So in my switch position number 3, all I have is warnings. And what that does is it gives me a totally clean image so that I can DVR analog footage. And then at the end of the battery, it'll flash up a battery low warning so I don't destroy my batteries by over discharging them. This is a super simple way of getting clean DVR footage from analog rigs. Also, when you fly without all the OSD elements, it's more pure. It's really cool. If you haven't done it before, you should. It's just sort of more immersive. You feel less like a fighter pilot and more like somebody that can just fly. It's very, very fun. Off on the right here, that chunk of text that I dropped into the CLI changed all these post-flight statistics. My favorite post-flight statistics are timer 1, RSSI minimum, link quality minimum, G-force maximum, just because it's fun, ESC temperature maximum, ESC RPM maximum, battery voltage minimum, current battery voltage, battery MAH used, battery current draw maximum. Those are the most interesting things to look at after every flight. Battery capacity 300, and save it. Video transmitter should already be set up, but you can dial in your specific channel. I'm going to turn the power down quite a bit to 25, and then low power disarm you should turn to on until first arm. That's why this thing was getting hot, because the low power disarm was turned off, so it was running the VTX. And it was also running it at 400 million watts. I know it's milliwatts. Don't insult my intelligence. Black box, you're going to change to, they already have it on gyro scaled, good for them. And then 1/4, which is 1K, that's great. I'm going to erase the flash. What was it? When was it? I wonder if that's, surely that's not a test flight that it was logging. I guess it was logging when it was just sitting here. And that's pretty much it, my friends. Crash recovery is something that you'll have to put into the CLI. I have it saved in that little sticky note, so I just copy and paste it. Moderson says, is that thing running OpenVTX, or is it only Happy Model that does that? I have no idea. I don't know much, if anything, about OpenVTX. Brandon's White Bean says, once I used someone else's rates and I was nauseous for 24 hours afterwards. Yeah, other people's rates are ridiculous. Curtis Hayes says he has to CiottiFPV it somewhat. Brandon's Baked Beans, LOL. What are you guys talking about? Oh, prepare to be a champion? Yeah, right. All right. So we are all set up. It's bound. Should be good to go. Click off this gangly fan. Shout out to Douglas Otwell for making these gangly fans. Very, very, very cool. I'm so happy that Frank Nicholas finally won one. It's going out in the mail tomorrow. I couldn't fit it in the mailbox. Teddy, no, that's a battery. Don't eat it. Cool. Yeah, we are good to go. Let's see what it's like. We're gonna fly a battery stone stock I might dial in the Throttle Expo. Maybe not. And then we'll start messing around with it and play around with the tune, talk about potential upgrades, stuff like that. But let's fly it pretty much exactly as it is out of the box. Turn HD VRX off. And we're off. Let the games begin. Chris, I wanted to get caught up on the chat. Let's just fly real quick. Oh, he's pissed tonight. He is pissed off tonight. Teddy is as pissed off at the insanity of this country as we all are. Whoa! Jesus. Okay, alright, so it was in Horizon mode, but it's got some stank. Like I said earlier, these BetaFPV motors are under-specced. They say 30,000 kV on them, but they perform like Happy Model 32, maybe even 34,000 kV motors. Teddy's here to help. Go around the other side, buddy. There you go. Hold on, I forgot to set up the fancy Weebleed LED gates. When you're on this screen, if you pitch forward, that happens. Ready? I'm going to arm it. 3, 2, 1. Oh! Oh! Up! Get it, Teddy. Oh! 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 This flies great. Holy hell. Ah! Fresh motors, fresh rigs are always have a little bit of extra magical juice sprinkled on them. But, I mean, this flies great. This straight up just flies awesome. My favorite rigs are the ones that are on like 36,000 kV motor, Happy Model motors, 32,000 kV Happy Model motors. So this has like the amount of power that I really like with these 30,000s that are kind of underspec'd. Whoa, okay. Apparently the family turned all the lights off upstairs on me. That's okay. We'll stay down here. Whoa, I actually overshot that. These motors make a lot of power. Holy hell. Woo! I can't believe I just went through the side there. That was not on purpose. Ah. Ooh, Jesus. Yeah, these are powerful-ass motors. All right, hold on. Let me not arm it, because that's when I blow everything away on the desk. Yeah, wow, this makes all kinds of power. Even Teddy agrees. He's like, dude, too much power. I'm going to have to be all on top of this one. Let's blow that fluff around. Drop those paws down, buddy. There we go. Blowing the fluff! Buddy, be careful. Buddy, stop licking it. That's what she said! Oh, God, what was that? Oh, that was deserved. I deserved that one. I don't know what I was doing. I just, like, cranked the stick to the side. I put a bunch of roll in for no real reason. Buddy, where'd it go? You're on top of this shit. You're a mouser. There it is. No! Don't eat it. What are you doing? Don't bite it. You sniff and you lick. You don't bite. Be a good dog. Be a good dog. At the end of this battery, we're going to... I'm going to get caught up on chat, I promise. Oh! Damn! Uh-oh. He's back. Ooh, whoa. All right, so there's the end of that battery. I didn't really spend any time in turtle mode. I recently learned that turtle mode runs the timer. So that is a half decent representation of the runtime that you're going to get flying like this, 2 minutes and 42. Like I said earlier, these motors make a lot of power. And so that runtime is about right. What I will say is it seems like Happy Model motors are a little bit more efficient than BetaFPV motors. You know, it's super hard though, because 30,000 kV BetaFPV motors make way more power than 30,000 kV Happy Model motors. So it's super hard to be able to tell to judge these runtimes from like a freestyle perspective. If racers are talking about that stuff, listen to them, because they're running the same racetrack over and over and over and over again. They've got lap times to compare. As their lap times go down, they're going faster, they're pushing it harder, right? So they're going to have a much better idea of efficiency of the motors. Freestyle is all over the place, right? Like one night you're all jacked up on goofballs and you're flying it really hard. Another night you're stoned out of your mind and flying really chill. And so it's tough. But in the past, what I have noticed is that rigs with BetaFPV motors that feel like they have a similar amount of power as a rig on Happy Model motors, the Happy Model motored rig, you'll get a little bit of extra runtime from. But again, super hard to tell. This is also on GemFan 1219S propellers. These are very pitchy props. And this is a high KV motor. If you want more runtime from this, the first thing I would do is put it onto 1210 biblades or the HQ ultralights. That'll get you a little bit more runtime for sure, and it'll still make really good power. This rails. This is a very, very powerful 65 millimeter rig. I can already tell you. I'm going to get caught up on chat, and then we're going to dive into this and start tweaking it a little bit. It's damn good already, but I'm going to make a couple of my normal sort of tweaks, and we'll talk about them. In the chat, Northern Tier says, oh no, we got that. Titan says, I love the little flip you do with the radio when binding. Yeah, I don't know why I do that. Every time, like, because, you know, the module's on the bottom. For whatever reason, I just go like that every single time. It's just the strangest thing. You know, it's almost every time I do it, I'm just like, you idiot, stop doing that. You're going to eventually drop it and bang it on the desk and break one of these switches off. But, like, because, like, I don't know, there's really no reason not to just do that. But, yeah, I don't know. I once saw Neil deGrasse Tyson was once on a podcast, and his iPhone was sitting on the table, and it was caseless. He had no case on his iPhone. Why am I doing this? What possible... I mean, I already started, so I'm going to follow through. So, yeah, his phone's just sitting on the desk caseless, and the host of the podcast is like, wow, no case, that's brave. And Neil says, you know, I used a case for the longest time, and I broke a couple of phones, and he says, I started... I tried something. I think he might have seen somebody else talking about this, but he goes, I started just like playing around with the phone and just like twirling around in my fingers and just like, you know, whenever I'm above like carpet or like at home or whatever, I'll just do this with my phone. It's good. You know, it's like fidget spinner kind of stuff, right? For anxiety. And he says, what I realized is that eventually I got really good at this, and I got really good at, as I drop it, I got really good at catching it, right? When you do this, eventually it's going to slip, and then you're going to get quick at grabbing it and catching the damn thing. And he says, ever since I started doing that, even though I don't have it in a case, I stopped breaking phones because I stopped dropping them. And so I did that for a while. I did that for about a year. I ran the previous version of this phone without a case. And I'll be damned if he wasn't right. Until... And I think I could have fixed this by just getting, like, you know, they sell those stickers that have like a little bit of a rubberized texture to them, right? That don't, I love these without a case because of how thin they are. And it's just, all these phones are way too big in my opinion. And so caseless, it's at least really thin. But when it's in your pocket, it's very slippery. So if I'd continued with this experiment, yeah, the next step would have been putting some kind of like a sticker setup on here that has some grip, especially on the edges. Because what happened on the same day, I was out flying with a bunch of the guys at one of the local spots. Somebody got their rig. It was in my back pocket. I was wearing shorts where the pockets weren't super deep. And so it was like the top of the pocket was like here. So a little bit of the top of the phone was sticking out. And I went to like run and I just happened to like bounce perfectly as I ran. And it just jumped right up out of my pocket and smashed on the ground. And it hit perfectly on the corner to break the front screen. No, it broke the back first. It broke the back of it. And then I was super bummed out, but I was like, at least it didn't break the screen. Put it right back in that same fucking pocket. And like 10 minutes later, I ran again and it popped out of my fucking pocket again. But this time it broke the front screen. And then the saga of OG folks will actually probably remember this. Then the saga of don't take your phone to non-Apple repair shops began because they will put shitty quality aftermarket screens, buttons, all kinds of random stuff in there that then won't work and you'll have to bring it back, and it's your phone. When you have to drop your phone off at one of these places and you don't have your phone all day, it sucks. You ever try to get home from somewhere that you always use your GPS without your GPS? It sucks. And I ended up, after this, I dropped it off at this shop once. They put a screen in that was visibly worse than the factory screen, and the button didn't work. I took it back. They switched the button out. The screen was still bothering me. I took it to the Apple store. The person at the Apple store is like, here, sign up for Apple Care real quick, and then you'll be covered. I paid $3 to sign up for monthly Apple Care, and they fixed it. They put a fresh screen, a proper screen in it for free. And I was gonna cancel the Apple Care, but then I thought, you know what, for $3 a month, screw it. And so I still have it, which is probably why they do that. But yeah, there you go. There's a bunch of my life that you didn't ask for and probably don't care about. Major Eric says, what battery charger do you use for transmitter / goggle 2S batteries? I bought a fancy tattoo charger that tells me to scrap my brand new batteries. I use my big boy charger for most of them. I use these. I don't love these batteries, but I just happen to have a bunch of them. I have cloth tape over them so that they stick a little bit better. But this is like a Tattoo 2500 mAh battery that has the barrel lead on it. I have like 3 of these and they work okay. They're pretty lightweight. They've got a little cell checker on the front of them, which is really cool. And yeah, I just made a little barrel plug to XT60 adapter that I just plug into my big boy charger and just use that. The other goggle batteries that I also have a 3S goggle battery that I use quite a bit. Doesn't really matter that it's 3S, but I just happen to be buying one. at some point and figured I would try a 3S battery out. What I like about this battery, actually, being 3S and a little bit north of 12 volts, is that I use this battery with the gangly fan. The gangly fan has a barrel plug on it. So the gangly fan is a computer fan. They want 12 volts, right? This is a little north of 12 volts. It spins that fan up perfectly. So this is actually my gangly fan battery as well. But yeah, 3S 2000 mAh. Again, lightweight. When you have a bunch of them, it's nice. You don't have a big heavy battery hanging off. You don't have wires running down into your pocket, which drive me insane. And then the other batteries that I use are the old school Fat Shark batteries, because they have a little USB port on the side of them. Here it is. And I love these batteries. They're terrible, and I hate them, but I love them because they've just got a little USB port. So you just plug it into your USB cable that's hanging out the side of your computer, and they charge up. But yeah, these are only 1800 mAh, so they go dead pretty quick. They do have the little battery checker on them, which is nice. I like that they're white. It's whatever. These are my least favorite of the batteries because of how quick they go dead, but they're easy to plug in and charge back up. So, no big deal. Yeah. Barrel plug life, yo. Brandon's Baked Beans says, if it doesn't 3 times plug bind, then there will be a bind button in the receiver tab of Betaflight, since SPI ELRS is controlled by Betaflight. But that's not very common anymore. Good call. Yeah. Sometimes it'll have both, too. Sometimes you can plug them in 3 times, or there'll be a bind button. That's the best. Eric says, you can always unplug from the computer and not USB to unplug 3 times to save your USB. Yep. That's also a little trick back in the days that we had to hold the bind button down. It was really difficult to like hold the bind button and then plug the USB in here. So you don't do that. Plug the USB in here and then take the big USB plug and plug it into your computer. 1, 2, once or twice or 3 or whatever. Yeah, all the tricks. Blue Sky FPV says, can you explain deadband a bit at some point, please? Absolutely. So deadband it's going to make it do nothing at the center of the throttle. Eventually, your gimbals will get a little jittery at 0 throttle. And so if you're flying dead straight and your gimbals are jittering a little bit, even though you're not touching them, you could get like the tiniest little bit of movement. And so deadband says, hey, in the middle of the sticks, from 0 to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, in my case, don't do anything. So any jitter that the gimbals are giving you when you're not touching them is going to be eliminated, because the deadband, it doesn't do anything until you get to 4. There are either 250, no, there's 1,000. There's 1,000 steps in these gimbals. So a deadband of 4, taking out 4 out of 1,000, it's nothing. You'll never ever notice that. And when you're dead center, you want it to be dead center. So that's what deadband is. It just gets you around any amount of jitter that the gimbals have. Major Eric, thank you for the $5 super chat, my friend. I will read your message in 1 second. I've got like 3 more messages real quick. I don't want to lose my place here. Curtis Hayes says, I think you have ELRS-PTSD from when 2.0 had so many issues. 3.0, especially the latest version, seemed to have great stability when binding. Cole Power says, if you set stick high to 1,000 and stick max is 1,500, do you lose gimbal resolution and throw? Absolutely. That will fly very weird. Borkbit says, finally able to join Patreon. Oh, we got that. Thank you, Borked. All right, so I read those. That's good to go. He says, wait, should I plug in the balance lead or XT30/60 to my fancy charger? You need to make a, you have to plug in the balance lead, but then you also have to plug in the main lead. So you might need to make a barrel plug to XT60 adapter. Somebody might sell that. You might be able to buy that piece. XT60 to barrel. This is the wrong... You need the barrel female. Looks like everybody makes them with the opposite side of the barrel. Interesting. If you search hard enough, you could probably find it. Here, is this it? This might be it. Yeah, that's what you need. You would need something like this. Looks like Progressive RC. Yeah, you could buy it from there, $5. But yeah, this is basically what you need. You can just get, you might even have floating around one of these, and it's just red and black. Super easy to hook that up to an XT60. Here you go. Electrify bike. Oh, look at that. Well, that ain't it. There you go. Well, nope. That's not it. That's not what you want. But yeah, you don't want this. You don't want this side. This is the side that's on the goggle battery. You want the other side. And then, yeah, away you go. There it is. Orca Shop. Yep, that's what you want. So a couple different shops have it if you want to buy it, if you don't have one floating around. Blue Sky says, thanks, very clear and helpful. You're welcome, my friend. Cheetonian says, ViFly Toothstore can charge 2S via balance lead. That's what I use for goggle batteries. That's fucking cool. That is super cool, actually. That makes me want to get one. Cheetonian also says, thoughts on the lower pitch HQ ultralight 31 millimeters. The higher, the normal HQ ultralights have just the right amount of pitch. So I don't really have a reason to go to the lower pitch ones. They're more for racers. For freestyle, I don't necessarily get it. So yeah, I don't know if I think I might have bought some at some point, but then I didn't test them. But yeah, the regular ones are the correct amount of pitch for me. I have no interest in less pitch than the regular HQ ultralights. Dexter says, got tired of looking for H7 20x20 AM32 lightweight stack. The only one I found was secure H743 stack. Any thoughts about it? Want to put it on a QAV Pro 2.5-inch Cinewoop. I secure SEQURE. I've never seen them making any actual FPV electronics. I've only seen them making like knockoff soldering irons. So I would not necessarily trust that personally. I don't know what to tell you. I would sacrifice H7, and I would just look for a stack that's either F7 or even F4. F4 running 4K PID loop, D-Shot 300, it's completely fine. The advantages to going from 4K to 8K or D-Shot 300 to 600, I'm not totally convinced that anybody can actually notice. I'm pretty sure it's placebo. I could absolutely be wrong, but yeah, if you're not like a super top level racer, I doubt that you're gonna notice the difference there. So that would be my recommendation. I know that's probably not the answer you're looking for, but yeah. Rybread says, I love how Teddy knows what side is the front and stays in the camera. It's weird that he knows that. The only thing I can think of is that the lens of the camera is reflecting himself in some weird way, because he absolutely knows the front. Like when it was over, like here it's one thing because I always point it in that direction, but every once in a while I'll put it down in another random spot and he always runs around to the front and looks right at it. He must be able to see the lens. It's hysterical. Moss1 says, can the ESCs in my Mobula 6 2024 cause video noise? Probably not. If you have video noise... either the AIO is on its way out, or the only other thing could be if the wire going from the AIO to the camera is in the perfectly wrong position. So move that wire and or twist the wire up so that you've got the yellow, red, and black all doing this. That should help video noise. Hey, look at that. I'm caught back up. Almost. Major Eric Shin says, please use my full name out of respect. Thank you for your guidance. You're certainly welcome, my friend. Wyatt is in the house. I just had a... Wyatt is the fella working on the drone frame powertrain build with his engineering students at school for a cool competition. And we had a 5-er session the other day. Super cool guy. We covered a ton of stuff. We had a blast. He says, what 2S flight controller do you recommend for the HDZero Eco VTX? What do you think of Happy Model Super X HD AIO? I have not used that. Here's all I can say, is that the only 2S AIO that I've used has been this BetaFPV, used with 2S, is this BetaFPV 12 amp version 3. And it's been totally fine. The Happy Model Super X should be okay. I haven't used it. I haven't smashed it, so, and I try not to talk about stuff that I haven't personally abused. So yeah, that's all I can say about that, but could be totally fine. The Super X could be totally fine. I've heard from a bunch of people that have used them and they've had a good experience. I've not heard from 50 people. I've heard from like 1 or 2. So that's way too small of a sample size. So yeah, I wish I could say more, but I'm just starting to dive into the 2S stuff. Chitonian says, yes, Secure is one of a couple Chinese companies that suddenly expanded out into stacks and large payload carrying bonded flies. Really? Oh my God. Yeah, right. All right, so let's get this back into Betaflight and start changing stuff. If you get one of these, maybe don't change stuff because it's awesome right out of the box. But I've been doing this for a long time. I like these things to fly in a very specific way. So I change everything all the time. And then sometimes stuff never works again. It's pretty rare, but it does happen every once in a while. All right. I'm just going to go back through everything because it doesn't take much time and I probably skipped 1 or 2 things. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is optimize this for Express LRS 250 Hertz by clicking on this preset. And then in here, I'm going to go to HD Freestyle. As you go down here, the racing option here is super low latency, no stick smoothing at all. When you go to Freestyle, it adds a little bit of stick smoothing. HD Freestyle adds a little bit more. Cinematic adds a little bit more. Ultra Cinematic adds a little bit more. With the Tiny Whoops, I like the way that they feel and fly on HD Freestyle. It adds a little bit of stick smoothing, but not a ton. And that's it. This is, to be honest, I basically do this because it's a really good preset for for the amount of stick smoothing that I want. Where you see the effects are right here in the jitter reduction. This feed forward jitter reduction is half of the stick smoothing that's added. The other half is in the receiver tab, and it's down here in the set point cutoff frequency and the feed forward cutoff frequency. The higher these numbers are, the more stick smoothing there is added in. It's going to make your footage look smoother, but it's going to make the rig, it's going to add a little bit of latency and delay into the inputs. It's only a couple of milliseconds. I can almost guarantee you that if you blind test with and without, you won't notice the difference, but you might notice the difference in the flight footage looking smoother and looking like you're a better pilot than you actually are. I'm going to take this iTerm Relax cutoff and just turn it all the way down to 10. I just don't like it being up that high. The iTerm Relax can potentially remove bounce back at the end of flips and rolls. It's not a big deal. Maybe don't change it, but I like these things set in a certain way. Dynamic damping gain and advance. I'm going to put those to 30. That's just the way I like them. The stock settings of 20 are fine. All right. That's it over here. The tune itself feels really good. I am going to add Dmax back in. Eye gain, that's fine. I'm shocked that they've got the pitch damping and tracking turned up so high. I'm really happy about that, actually. Just my OCD makes me want to do that. Master multiplier, I'm actually going to turn down to 1.0. And I'm going to do my normal trick of the damping and the tracking. I'm going to go up to 1.4 here and 1.1 there. That brings these numbers pretty close to where they were. They're actually a little bit lower than where they were. But we're probably going to be okay because these motors make a lot of power and the rig is really light. I am not making big changes here. These are really subtle things that I'm doing. In the filtering, I am going to crank this gyro filtering. Oh, well, no, they're using just the... we'll crank it all the way up. The gyro filtering does practically nothing nowadays. I already changed the gyro RPM filter to one single harmonic. This is weird. This max frequency went back down to 500. I guess I forgot to click save. Their filter settings, their tune is awesome. I would really kind of leave it alone. But yeah, for me, I don't leave anything alone ever. Bring this up to 120 as well. It doesn't need to filter all the way down to 100. Yeah, super subtle stuff. Nothing else needs to be changed. That's it. I'm going to leave it there. And I doubt that I'll be able to feel a difference, but that's okay. I like to have these things set up in a specific way. It helps me with like comparing one rig to another and stuff like that. And I've done a lot of experimenting to figure out those settings. You know, they're not right, they're not wrong, they're just the way that I like these things to sort of be. No big deal. So there's a little bit of an adjustment in Betaflight. Let's put another battery through it, and then it's 11:40 already. I guess maybe we have enough time to cannibalize this antenna. Teddy came running as soon as he hears the beeps. There he is. Somebody asked what Dmax does. It's dynamic D-gain. It raises the D-gain when it needs it, and then it brings it down when it doesn't need it. Oh. Oh. Whew, shit. It was pitched backwards, so I was pretty sure that I wouldn't hit him in the face, but I got a little close. Woo, shit. I let it drift a little too far back there. Here he comes. He's going to help. Teddy's definitely going to help this time. All right, let me get the throttle expo dialed in. So the way that I do that, off on the right side of the screen, 30, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 29, 32. That is my throttle value. So what I do is I cruise around the room at like normal cruising speed, and I keep an eye on that number, and I try to figure out what the average is. So I'm seeing like 30, 32, 33, 31, 30, 32, 33. So I'm going to go with 32. Go into your OSD. You can also do this in the rates tab, but it's in here. You go to rate and then push up to go to the bottom. I'm actually going to give it a little bit more throttle expo. This is the amount of expo, and then this is the midpoint. It's pretty well set. I guessed at 30. I'm going to dial it into 32, and now we're good. Look at him recoil a little bit. He didn't give a shit that time. Ah! Oh, God. All right, let me try to get my... That was crash recovery, hooking a brother up. I am underneath the hi-hats. Ooh, God, I hit the TV on that one. Oh, just torquing that shit out, yo. Oh! There's crash recovery again. Woo! Right out through the door. Oh, God. A little bit less battery life on this one. Ah! Woo! Shit! Yeah, these rigs with lots of power, I get really carried away with, like, these full throttle throws, because it's just too fun, man. It's just too fucking fun. Ah! Missed it. Newbie drone gates are vicious as always. Ah! I'm trying to get that cool dive to power loop. Hold on, let me try it again. It's tough. It's tough. I'll get it at some point. Not on this battery, though. Look out, Teddy! Oh, God. Oh, boy. There's... Teddy, what are you doing? Jesus Christ. I couldn't see what he was doing. He was like, attacking the thing. Hey, there's a little more runtime. 2 minutes and 45. There you go. Let's... All right, so two things. Two things that I would change. I might change one of them. I might not change the other. Moss1 says, thanks, buddy. You're certainly welcome. Titan asking about D-Max. We talked about that. Render says, I contacted HDZero about the ELRS issue I was having with the AIO5. They're sending out a new board this week. Picked up a spare on top of that. LOL. Nice. That's not the right button. That is. Major says, just noticed post-flight throttle average. Would you suggest using that to help dial in the throttle mid for Expo? That is a new thing that I love that they added. The problem with it is that is the whole battery. So every time you go full throttle, it's gonna add that in to the average. So I think that average is gonna be a little too high. By just cruising around the room at your normal speed and then looking at the average throttle value, that works brilliant. If you ever want, like, so I've got a so if you want to dive into Throttle Expo, here's what you want to do. Go to my channel, and there's a little magnifying glass here. This is on everybody's channels. Click this magnifying glass. You can search on just that person's channel. Search for Throttle Expo. This live stream, Midpoint Monday, dialing in Throttle Expo, the secret for throttle control. There is like a... Oh, I forget which one it is. 9 months ago, 1 year ago. I dive into it in both of these. I forget which ones. I'm saying all the same stuff, but yeah. There's like a 45-minute to an hour chunk in each one of those where I get down and dirty with the Throttle Expo. How to set it. And basically, a really good way of setting it perfectly is to turn the amount of Expo all the way up. Absolutely all the way up, as high as it'll go. This is going to make it like... This is going to make the majority of the throttle throw awful, but one little spot of the throttle brilliant. And so what it does is it makes it super obvious if you have the midpoint set right or wrong. And then you just fly a couple of batteries in your normal space and you just experiment. Move the midpoint up a little bit, move it down a little bit. And it'll be super obvious when you have that midpoint perfect. Once you have that midpoint perfect, don't leave the amount of Expo sky high. That's a bit much. Typically, for the amount of Expo, you want to be between like 20 and 50. And so, but by putting that to 100, it just makes it super obvious so that you can nail that midpoint. And then you bring down the amount sort of like to taste. And there you go. But an even better idea is to watch those live streams, because Throttle Expo can make things a lot worse. It can very easily make things a lot worse if you don't really understand it. And so it's worth it to understand it if you're going to then use it. If you don't understand it and you try to use it, there's a good chance that, like I said, you're going to make the situation worse than better. So do it. Northern Tier says, do you use Expo on flip and roll? I do indeed. I use 0.7 Expo on everything in my rates, which is a lot. But if you point a camera at your transmitter and fly a battery, what you'll notice is typically you're only using, without a lot of Expo, what you'll notice is you're doing all of your flying in here and then out. So you're like the whole battery, you're up in here. Every once in a while, you go to the ends of the stick travel. You're very rarely using any of this area in here. And the more Expo you add, the more you're going to use in this area. And for me, a best case scenario for flying a battery is when I use equally all of the areas, right? Sometimes I'm in the middle, sometimes I'm in the center, sometimes I'm in the middle, sometimes I'm at the ends. If I'm always in the middle and every once in a while I go out to the ends, I don't like that. And so you crank the Expo up and then you see how much more you use and then you crank it up again. And eventually you'll add so much Expo that it feels terrible and then you back it off a little bit. And that's how I got my rates set. And yeah, they're shocking rates for most people. But if you put the time in to get used to them and you want to fly more cinematic, they work really, really well. Let's massacre this antenna. So this is, since the motors are direct soldered and since they make good power, they're the right height for this frame. So the propellers match up well with the duct. I don't really think you need to upgrade anything in terms of frame, motors, maybe propellers. That's like a which propellers do you like best kind of situation. These props are totally fine. I like them. The canopy seems to be okay. The camera did really well in our camera testing. This is the CO3 camera. So there's not a whole lot to upgrade on this thing. It's already 17.5 grams, so it's already really lightweight. So maybe don't just leave it and fly it. But I can't possibly leave anything alone, so I have to do something. So I'm going to upgrade the antenna. Upgrade. I'm going to actually kind of downgrade the antenna, but I'm going to make it lighter. Let me put it back on the scale, though. Somebody do me a favor and type this weight into the chat, because I will absolutely forget. At the moment, it is 17.68 grams. Let's see what happens when we modify this antenna. So again, do not unplug this UFL unless you absolutely have to, because it very well could rip it off the board and ruin this perfectly good AIO. Take the antenna and just push it down. It should be able to push this down enough to get it out. It'll be way easier to put it back in there once we've removed this ground plane. For the record, what I'm about to do is going to make the video quality significantly worse, but it's going to save weight. And if I'm just flying this around the house, which is pretty much what I'm going to do, the decrease in video quality is kind of negligible. So there we go. I was able to just push that down and out of the canopy without unplugging it. I'm being super, super, super gentle because I don't have the E6000 on here yet. So then I pull the antenna out. I just want to get as much length on this antenna because I'm going to be in there with flush cutters. All right, cool. So we got the antenna out the side here so that we can work with it. You're going to take flush cutters and you're going to super carefully cut this external shrink wrap off. You could stop here. If you want to save a little bit of weight, but you don't want to affect the video quality, wait till you see how heavy this shrink wrap is. Shrink wrap is like kind of thick rubber. That shit's heavy. Wait till you see this. You will not believe how heavy this is. Again, being super careful not to pull on this UFL. A second ago, I was holding it up in the air by the antenna cable, which is the bad. Come on. Being super careful to not chop the antenna wire. There we go. Now I cut it all the way through. All right. So there you go. That is going to make this thing quite a bit lighter. Check this out. It's kind of ugly that way, but suck it up, Buttercup. It is now 17.57 grams. So 0.1 of a gram. I thought it was more than that. 0.11 of a gram. So maybe don't do that, because that looks terrible. If you're going to do it, go all the way and take this ground plane off of here. And in order to do that, it's super simple. There is a tiny little... That's the wrong camera. There's a tiny little bit of solder right up here at the top of this ground plane John. And so all I'm going to do is take the tip of my soldering iron and just touch this little bit of solder, and then that'll let me pull this thing off. I'm probably going to burn my finger, but that's okay. Glory is forever. Finger burns will heal. You can kind of see it there, right at the tip. And so the soldering iron's coming up to temperature. You don't need flux or anything like that. What I like to do is like kind of hold it from the bottom here. And then, yeah, you'll be able to just pop it up and off. Soldering iron is up to temperature. This thing is going to get hot quick, so be fast. And so you're just going to touch it right up here. A little bit of upward pressure. Boy, does that get hot quick. Jesus. I haven't done this in a minute. All right, let's do this. I'll show you guys the responsible way of doing it. Get yourself some tweezers that are spring-loaded closed like this. They're super handy for stuff like this. And then you can clamp it, and you can just pick it up just a little bit, just so that there's enough force for this to pull itself off. And now you've got time. Now you don't have to be so fast. Soldering iron tip. That's it. That's all there is to it. And now you took that guy off, and you'll be even lighter. Let's see how much lighter. And now this will work totally fine inside the house. It works fine outside the house too, but it's just not as good as it was a minute ago. 17.42 grams. I gotta be honest. For a weight savings of 2.4 grams. Sorry, 0.24 grams. 2.4 grams, I wish. Maybe don't do that. I thought it was a lot more than that. Yeah, that is not enough weight savings. Cloudhopper has been taking, so this is the really good way to do this. But this is hard to do. I haven't even done this because this is difficult to do, and it's just a little too fiddly for me. You can make your own. What can I call this? Whip V antenna, I'm gonna call this. This part up here is that ground plane. In the same way that the ORT Micro V has this little piece. This is the active, and this is the ground plane over here. Cloudhopper has been making these, which is amazing. This will perform almost as good as the stock antenna with the ground plane on it, with all of the weight savings that we've done here. So this is really the right way to do it. In order to do this, you have to cut this all the way down, and then you have to remove the external black heat shrink part here. Underneath this is braid, and then you need to get that braid. You need to, I actually don't know how Cloudhopper did this, but this part of the antenna is that braid, so you've got to get that braid out of there. He's doing, it looks like he's doing a liquid electric tape on it. You have to cut this active element to be the exact right length here. And then he's doing some liquid electric tape magic down here. Yeah, these are awesome. I have a lot of patience, but I do not have the patience to do this, but I'm glad that there are people that do. If I had any confidence that I could take this UFL off without ripping it off the board like I did with the other 5-in-1 that BetaFPV sent me, I would absolutely put this antenna on there, but I don't want to ruin this. So I'm going to leave it the hell alone. Now you guys will get to see the difference between ground plane on and ground... Oh, not really, because I've only really been flying... Damn it, I should have flown this thing upstairs a bunch. But the lights are off up there, which is why I didn't, so that's fine. But, yeah, what I could tell you is it's not as good. It's noticeably worse. But for around the house, it's still completely fine. I like to put a little piece of shrink wrap on the top here just to beef up the connection point between the active element and the rest of the antenna. So let me just super quick do that. Just take a tiny little piece of shrimp wrap here and throw it on there. No big deal. It's just if I don't do it now, I won't do it. Just makes the active element... Eventually, the active element will bend and bend and bend and bend, and then it'll break. This prevents that, and it takes, you know, however much time that just took. 20 seconds. And there you go. Now you've got an ultralight racing style antenna. Just put it back through the hole in the canopy and profit, as the kids say. Well, they probably don't say that anymore. Get in there. There we go. Cool. And that's the ELRS antenna in red there. All right, we're all set. We are a little bit lighter. Didn't really need to be a little bit lighter. It's got all the power in the world. Not all the power in the world, but it's got loads of power. But hey, now we'll get a little bit more runtime. Curtis Hayes says, now take a wire the length of the bell and solder it to where the bell was soldered. Bell? Oh, right. Right. Yeah. So the part that I'm covering up with the shrink wrap is also where the ground plane is. So yeah, if you get the right length wire, you can solder it to that. It's the braid, and you can make your own little micro V. This you'll see flying around here. This is completely fine. So I don't have an issue with this. The other thing that I would change on this, I almost forgot, is I do not like how they run these battery leads around the side of the canopy there. I like to put these battery leads under, so they go in between this JST and the frame. It allows you to run these battery leads a little bit shorter, and it just kind of prevents them from being all janked up here. No big deal, but that's the only other change that I would make to this. In order to do that, though, because these are direct soldered motors, I would have to unscrew all 4 motors and the canopy and the AIO, pull it all out to reroute that, which I'm just absolutely not going to do. That is one of the biggest problems with direct soldered motors, is if you want to do anything, you got to pull all the motor screws, which is just like, it like triples the amount of time that it takes to work on these things. They're still quick to work on, but it you know, when you're doing a lot of these. Everything okay? Who the fuck is running around upstairs at midnight? Yeah. Oh boy. Where's the spaghetti monster when you need him? All right, slightly lighter weight with a much worse VTX antenna. Good Lord. So, as you can see, down here, the video is completely fine. But if I go upstairs, I mean, I'm on rapid fire, and this still looks perfect up here for me. I don't know what it looks like for you guys, but it is absolutely crystal clear up here on rapid fire. If I go all the way up here, wow, it's still completely fine. But maybe you guys saw a little bit of breakup all the way 2 floors up. So yeah, as you can see, the removing that removing that 1/4 of a gram, as long as you're flying nearby, doesn't really have much of an effect. Let me make sure that the VTX should be on 25 milliwatts. It is, yeah. So it's only on 25 milliwatts too. So I'm not like cranking VTX power. Whoa, Teddy, take it easy, little boy. Ah, I really tried hard to let it drop down into that cube. Ah! Hey, easy, fella, easy. I think it's in a, I think it fell into a lipo bag. I can't get it out. Yeah, it's stuck. Yeah, it is. Teddy! Relax. Relax, my friend, relax. Oh! Woo! Woo! Those teeth! Woo! Oh, yeah. I was trying to do that dive to power loop. Oh, my God, doggy. All right, so dive to power loop. Ah, I missed it. Man, there's a lot going on. Ooh, Teddy, relax, buddy. I cannot believe that I have not gotten a tiny whoop stuck in that dog's beard yet. Look out, buddy. I'm coming through. Well, whatever. Stay there for all I care. Oh, God. Oh, the dive is so difficult. I can do it, though. I can do it. Or not. All right, so problem number 1 is I'm turning to the left. I need to be turning to the right. So turn to the right, and that'll push you into the dive. What I was trying to do is line it up with the door and then turn it left, and that's why it kept hitting the wall there. If you've got something that is like on the right side of the room like this, right? Or if you're set up and you're pointing like this, turn to the right, and that'll push you into it, right? It's going to fire up the left to... When you roll right, it fires up the left motors, which pushes it to the right a little bit. So turn right, that gets you into it, and then the battery goes dead. Two minutes and 43. And I'm bringing these batteries in my normal, at my normal point, which is like 3.5. Like, if I'm hovering and it's 3.5, that's when I want to bring it in. That is partly out of laziness. Of the battery will then bounce back to 3.8 volts, storage charge. And I don't have to storage charge my batteries. It also makes these batteries last longer because you're not discharging them all the way down to Chinatown. So, there you go. Food for thought there. You can certainly run these batteries down farther and get a little bit more runtime, but the lifespan of the batteries is going to suffer. All right, let's get this. Ah! Ah! Here we go. No! Hey! Durability testing in progress. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Ah! Stop it. Let me fly, basement. Ah, that was ugly as hell, but that's the... Oh, sorry, Teddy. That is only like the third time that I've hit him. Boy, does he not give a shit, though. Woo! That was it, almost. Ah, God. When you come down the bottom of the dive, in order to not hit the ground, you have to blip the throttle, and then that makes the thing skyrocket forwards. And then you got to really hammer the throttle to kill that forward momentum, turn it into rearward momentum to do the power loop, and then I've got to get the timing right on the power loop to not hit that back wall. This might be the hardest move in the basement. Getting closer, though. Fuck. Ah! I thought it would keep sliding a little bit. Teddy, I hear you. A little horse trotting across the basement. Hey, we're playing drums. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, buddy boy. Here we go. This is the one. Even if I had pulled it off there, that would have been... That little stall out in the middle is not cool. Got to do it properly. Oh, that was it. Not quite as clean as I want it, but that was what I'm going for. Wow, I'm really maximizing that throw. Oh, you fart bag. Look at that. Look at crash recovery, man. Holy hell. Ah, I knew that was going to be a little short, but I was just kind of crossing my fingers. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Yep. One more. Ah, no. Again, I was kind of forcing it on that one. This thing flies great, man. BetaFPV, great job. The stock tune is awesome. I love that there's two different tunes, one for the 1219Ss, one for the HQ ultralights. They put the right props on here. They push the props all the way down on the motor shaft, which is awesome. These 1219Ss are propellers that, in my opinion, need to be drilled out. So, yeah, I mean, we can't expect them to do that from the factory, though. The absolutely amazing Alfred with a 200 MX. What's MX? MX currency. What is that? That is, ooh, Mexican pesos. Thank you, brother. He says, the motors in my Air65 aren't spinning anymore after flashing with ESC configurator, but instead the motors produce sound when throttling up. I read I need to throttle up until it comes back. I read it on Reddit. Help. Don't ever do anything on Reddit or Facebook groups. Go. All right, hold on. Hold on. So this is an Air65 here. And so you're going to go back into ESC configurator. And you're going to reflash it. You might have used... The only thing I can think of is that you somehow used the wrong ESC flight controller thing. Here's what you do. Go back into ESC configurator, connect, plug a battery in, and then read settings. And so what you're looking for is AX5. You need to make sure you're on AX5. So come in here. Why is this thing on 90? I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do. This stupid thing is on 96K. That's ridiculous. Go to flash all ESCs. Hold on. You can't see it. Here we go. Flash all ESCs. You want Blue Jay. You want to make sure this is AX5. You want 0.21.0. And you want a PWM frequency of 48. And then you're going to click flash. Hopefully that fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, I have never heard of the motors just making noise when you throttle up. That is, I don't get that at all. But do what I just showed you, and I certainly hope that fixes it. I truly do not know what else to tell you. To do. That is a very strange problem. The noise they make is beeps. Yeah, did you maybe do something in the melody editor? I've never actually used that. Yeah, that's super strange. But all you can do, I mean, like, flashing these is flashing them. There's like nothing magic. Oh, I mean, although I'll show you these common parameter settings as well. Maybe you screwed around with one of these and it's causing some issues. I don't know, but there's not a whole lot that you can really do in here. Like there's not like a secret button that's like, you know, just play songs when I throttle up. Yes, no. Yeah, you can only really like do what you just saw me do. Come on. Come on. Curtis says, I had that happen to me the other day. When I flashed Blue Jay, I reflashed BLLES and it worked again. Wow. That's super weird. I've never heard of that before. So maybe try that. Go in there and flash it to BLLES and then flash it back to Blue Jay maybe. I don't know. That's insane. But these common parameters here, I mean, you shouldn't need to screw with these, but try to keep these minimum powers turned down as low as they'll go. Motor timing, medium is apparently the best thing. Leave these two. Beep strength, I always turn up a little bit. Has nothing to do with your problem, but this just makes the beeper a little bit louder. The beacon delay, set this to 2 minutes. If it hasn't gotten any commands in 2 minutes, it'll start beeping. If you plugged it in and you forgot about it, this will be your little reminder. And then I turn on brake on stop. The rest of this should look like this. That's a super weird problem, man. This is updating. Come on. I can't think of anything else. Curtis Hayes says I couldn't run Blue Jay on it. Had to leave it on PLLES. What? To keep the motors working. That's insane because they ship it with Blue Jay. Failed writing settings to ESC4. Why? Updating ESC4 finished. Okay, there we go. That's weird. This thing is acting very strange. That is super weird. I don't know how else to troubleshoot that. Because again, there's just nothing you can do in there. It either works or it doesn't. Although it sounds like this thing might... Try the different versions. Try 0.19, try 0.18, I guess. Let me see if my Air65 now all of a sudden will not work anymore. Try different PWM frequencies. Uh-oh. Oh, it's not bound. Why is it not bound? There's absolutely no reason for this to not be bound. 1, 2, 3. There I go again. Throwing the oh, what am I calling this transmitter now? I'm calling it a antique. Throwing the antique transmitter up in the air. Oh shit. What? Okay. Alfred says BetaFPV states in its page not to use anything other than 96. What the hell? What about turtle mode? Oh my god, what the fuck? What is that about? Oh, now that's some... That's weird. Hold on, let me bump up the startup values. Wow. What is that about? I have... This is just their new Air flight controller, and I've updated them before. What makes this one any different? That is super strange. All right, so come back in, read settings. Oh, I gotta turn my transmitter off. And then, so let's bump the minimum startup power up to 1100 and 1240. Right settings. I don't think that's going to help, though. Okay. Disconnect. What the hell, dude? Plug it back in. And transmitter back on. Power cycle it real quick. There it is. Yeah, so it's a startup power problem. So turn up your startup power a little bit, and you'll be fine. There you go. Blue Sky says he thinks it has to do with D-shot beacon problem in Betaflight. I had a similar problem, if I remember it was the problem. The D-shot beacon bug should not affect this behavior. It should only affect... without getting too deep into it, if you've got one 3-position switch with turtle mode and your beeper, you want to always make sure that whatever... So this is the null switch position. Nothing is happening here. In the middle of the switch position, you always want that to be turtle mode. And then at the bottom of the switch position, you always want that to be beeper. If you have beeper in the middle, it's going to start beeping. And then when you flip it into turtle mode, it's going to like still be beeping, and turtle mode doesn't reverse the motors. It's very weird. That's what that bug is. That has nothing to do with this. This is a startup power problem. So yeah, turn your minimum startup power up and you should be good. I didn't max it out. I did 1100 and 1240, I think it was. Rewind the stream 30 seconds and you'll see. So yeah, there you go. And that'll let you run 48K, which is awesome because 48K is better than 96. Boy, I made a mess with the E6000 on this one. That's okay. Did I run this battery down? Let's do... Oh boy, it's 1220 already. We'll do one more battery. I want to try to get that... dive to power loop a little bit cleaner than I did a minute ago. And then I will let you guys go to sleep. All right. Here we go. Curtis Hayes, try that. See if it brings yours back to life as well. I hope it does. Zero prop wash. Up, a little bit there. Just a tiny little bit. Hey. Hey. Easy, big fella. Oh, God, I almost went above the damn thing. Oh, boy. It is hard to do. Fuck. I also have to, like, carry enough forward momentum to make it into the damn thing, which is tough. This would also fly great on the HQ ultralights as well as the Gemfan biblades. Woo! Here we go. Come on now. Nope. Ah. Let's get this! Teddy, you be my witness. Stand there and watch again, buddy. It's helpful. No, it's not. Ah! Oh, wow. Oh man, I'm just not. It keeps hitting the door on that power loop. I'm throwing the power loop too far back. Teddy, you're in my spot. Ah! Jeez. Man, it ate this battery. I'm getting a low battery warning at 1:50. It's a bit early. Ah! Wow, I'm not flying great tonight, but this is also tough. Really? You're gonna do me like that? Oh, stop it. Stop it. Please. See that? I jinked Teddy. Oh my god. Oh boy. Nope. Yeah, I ain't in it tonight, man. Ugh. One more, real quick. I only have one more battery charge, so I can only do one more. Again, these are the BetaFPV 300 mAh Lava BT 2.0 batteries. I would not run this on the 260s. These motors are too powerful. The all-up weight is okay. If you're gonna run these on the 260s, I would limit these, motor limit them down to like 90%. Almost. It's light enough to take advantage of the 260 mAh batteries, but the motors are just too powerful, at full tilt. I'm getting close. I'm not like I'm not in control enough though. Like if I hit this, it's gonna be more luck than skill. Oh boy, yeah, I'm getting worse now. Whatever, this battery's almost done. Jesus. Something I do notice is that I'm very used to the Happy Model motors. I noticed this with the VCI motors. They're a different motor, and they make power. They make the power delivery is a little bit different, and so yeah, these are not the motors that I'm used to, and you can kind of see it. They're just different. If I flew 50 batteries on these, I'm sure I would get used to it. But oh, come on now. Whoa. A couple more tries and then we'll be done. Ugh. Hey, this rig's taking a beating, though. One of the reasons I like to focus on a hard move in some of these reviews is that it generates a lot of crashes. And that's important. The most important thing that I feel like I offer in terms of product reviews is durability testing. And I feel like most of the other... Most of the other reviewers don't fly things enough to and or crash them hard and often enough to give you good. Well, ugly as hell, but I kind of did it twice now. And yeah, I mean, when you get one of these things, now we're really shouldn't have said anything. That was. I deserved what I got. Hey. Well, there you go. 2 minutes and 54 seconds on that battery. Really nice rig. Really, really, really nice bind and fly. Mind-blowing that that you can just pay some money and get something that flies this good, with or without mod. The modifications that I did to this did not change much of anything, right? 0.25 grams less weight. That's a negligible difference. This is pretty much out of the box. And like that very first battery where I hadn't changed really anything, it flew awesome. So yeah, the tune's dialed. It's great. Really, really, really well done. Super impressive. Great job, BetaFPV. We've got a lot of really good rigs available to us nowadays. We are lucky, lucky, lucky boys. So I'm going to put a blob of E6000 on this now so that hopefully the UFL port stays at 1 with the... here, I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you what I do. You do you, but here's what I do with this. This is T7000 in black. I don't know. E6000 is this. It's also called. You can get it under the Welder name. It's called Welder in a red tube on Amazon, or you can get E6000. Or this T7000 is from tinywhoop.com. It's all kind of the same stuff. I'm sure there's a little bit of a difference, but for us, I don't really think it matters. And yeah, I'm just going to go from the AIO up onto the connector. That's it. No big deal. Just create a little bridge here. And then if it pulls upwards, this is going to take some of that force. It's also going to make it so it doesn't rotate on there and stuff like that. But yep, that's it. Just a little bit there. And that should help it not explode, hopefully. No big deal. Cool. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'm under the desk, wiping this off on the thing. Now I'm back. Yeah, there you go. Great job, BetaFPV. Thank you for sending this over. Very, very cool. I'm impressed. I am impressed. I'm going to fly this some more after this E7000 dries. Cool. Thanks for hanging, friends. Wait, hold on. I might not be caught up on chat. Nah, it looks like I am. Let me just double check. Nope, we're good. Thanks for hanging, friends. I'll see you on Friday at 7 o'clock. Best of luck. We're all going to need it. Enjoy it while it lasts. We got another couple months. Yeah. Good luck. Love you. Bye. I'm not ready. Now I'm ready. What the fuck is going on? Jesus Christ. Now the stream deck is fucking up.